dolls, back to my channel. So today is gonna be a story time. Y'all wanted to know about my fights, so here it is. So my first ever fight was my freshman year of high school. It was instigated, dude. Like, I fought this bitch for no reason. Like, this bitch didn't want to go back. And I was like, dude, like, move. And then she was like, don't tell me what to do. And I was like, bitch, like, nobody's telling you what to do. Like, do you not know how to play volleyball? You're supposed to rotate. And she was like, just talking shit. So I was like, all right, dude, like, you're a whack-ass bitch. Like, mind your own. So we stopped playing because the coach was like, okay, you guys already played, blah, blah, blah. So we sat down on the floor, and then it was always trouble. He was trouble. I tell you, trouble. This dude wanted everybody fighting. And I should have known that's what he was fucking doing. So he came up to me and he was like, hey, she's talking shit over there about you, that you're bossy and all that shit. And I was like, okay. But that bitch won't say it to my face. And I said it like that. And so he went back to her and he was like telling her like, oh, well, she said you won't say it to her face. And the bitch was like, well, I'll say it to your face. And she said it loud. So I was like, bitch, well then fucking say it to my face. Like, grow some fucking ovaries and come up to me and fucking say it to my face. And she didn't want to. So I was like, you know what? I told him, I was like, go tell that bitch that once we get in the locker room, like it's about to go down. And he was like, all right. So he was over, the bell ring, so I ran and I changed back to my regular clothes, and I was waiting for the bitch to come in the bathroom, and I told my homegirl Cynthia, I was like, hey, if these bitches try and jump in, like, you better have my back. She's like, she came into the locker room, and I was like, so what was all that shit you were talking? And she was like, what shit? And so the bitch came in the locker room, we were talking shit back and forth, and then my homegirl Kylie, she was like, just grab her and fucking hit her. And I was like, all right. I grabbed her and fucking hit her. And I wasn't so mad that I fucked her up to the point, because we were fighting over some petty ass shit, like fucking child ass shit. And so I remember like throwing her head against the locker room and everybody was recording. As the fight was over, like, dude, the fight lasted like 3 minutes because everybody was like, oh, like, stop it so that nobody gets caught. As soon as I get out the fucking locker rooms, the fucking security's waiting for me. And I was like, dude, I didn't even get to make it to my next class. And I was in the office, and Stewie was like the freshman vice principal. Was like, why did you do this? Like, he was really cool with me, and like, he always got me out of trouble. But this time he was like, why did you do this? And now you have to go talk to Officer Tirado. And he was like our campus police, and that's the one that passed away, like, that everybody was so like upset about, and I miss him. So talking about him right now kind of like, but he sent me to Officer Tirado's office, and Officer Tirado was like, you know, if you would have broken her nose, like, they could have charged you and all this shit. And bitch was okay. All I had was makeup on my arm, because this bitch wore like pounds and pounds of makeup. Like, pounds, like what I wear is nothing compared to what this bitch fucking wore. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't even tell I fucked her up because this bitch could hide it with all her makeup. So he was just telling me like all the shit that could have gone down if I would have broken her nose, if I would have opened her head, like all this shit. And I was like, well, that didn't happen. So like, I was kind of being a bitch, but I was super pissed because I was the only one in the fucking office. They never went and pulled this bitch out. And so she sent me back to Stewie, and he was like, I'm going to have to call your mom because you're going to get suspended. And I was like, okay, well, call my mom. Because at first I was like, oh, my mom's not going to say shit, because my mom always said if I fought, I win and she won't bait my ass. Well, my mom got there. My mom was like, well, where's the bitch? And I was like, I don't know. They haven't called her. And as soon as I said that, the bitch comes walking in. And my mom was like, there's nothing wrong with her. Like, if you were going to fight her, you were supposed to fuck her up. And my mom was like, watch when we get home. Bruh, that was the longest car ride of my life. We got home, my mom beat my ass with a broomstick. I remember that shit was, oh, it was not funny then, but now it's like, it's fucking funny. So that was my first whack ass fight. And I'm not gonna say like I was in so many fights, because I wasn't, but I was in enough fights so where I know I could fuck a bitch up, you know? Fight number 2. Now this is the good one. This is the one I wish I had a fucking video of. So we used to go to like this wrestling thing that my mom's friend did. Like their wrestling shows, like the Mexican, like the lucha type shit. Whack ass bitches that thought they were the shit. There was 3 of them. There was Brenda, Stephanie, and some other bitch that fucking tripped. So we would go there and they would always talk shit. And I was like, you know what? We'll let these whack bitches like keep talking shit. Whatever. So one day, I remember we got into it on Facebook and they were like talking shit. And I was like, I was just going at it with them because I was being petty. Like, all right, we're going to talk shit to each other. Let's talk shit. But she brought up something about my mom. What'd you say about my mom? Like, are you sure you want to say that? And she was like, pretty much telling me like, fuck you, bitch. Like, you fucking read it. So I was like, okay, like, watch on Sunday. And she was like, yeah. Sunday's going to come and you're not going to do anything. I was like, okay, if that's what you say. So that Sunday came, because it was every Sunday. So that Sunday came and these bitches were all together. And I remember like the wrestling was over and it was me, my mom, my sister, my brother, my other sister, and then my Nina Agatha and her husband Edgar and her kids. Well, this bitch walked past me like with holding a baby and she was like, this bitch could wait. And I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna wait. And I put my hair up and everything, so I was just waiting for this bitch to put the baby down because I wasn't gonna swing at her with a baby in her hands. Like, I'm not that fucked up. I'm fucked up, but not that fucked up. But he saw that the bitch didn't have the baby no more. And so he was like, she doesn't have the baby. She doesn't have the baby. And so because I remember my hair tie ripped, so I had to re-tie my hair up. And I jolted over there and I was like, so you want to talk shit, bitch? Well, the one thing I do remember is I had her and her mom had me. Like, and my mom says that as soon as she got there, she saw like the lady had me and my mom grabbed the lady. So it was like my mom was pretty much fighting the lady and I was fighting the daughter. We were getting down and they have like cement tables. And this is when I do kind of remember because I was blacked out until I got to that side. Because there was like a wall and there was 2 sides of tables. So you could go like through to the other side. So I remember when I got to the other side, like I was throwing her head against the fucking thing. Like I was throwing her head so hard. Like I was so pissed off. Like, and my mom had to like wrap her, she said she had to wrap my hair around her hand to pull me off. And I remember when I was fighting this bitch, like I was throwing her head against the thing and I was still stalking her. And I had a ring on my hand, mind you. This was like a flower ring, like those cool ones that girls used to wear back when we were 16 and whatever. And the lady was like, get her off of my daughter, get her off of my daughter. And so these 2 guys tried to take me off, but they couldn't. And I remember my sister came in, she was like, no, she was talking all this shit, let them fight. And my sister came in, she was trying to take off my older sister, Lizette. She tried to take one off. My mom said like the reason she took me off of this bitch is because once I threw her head like the last time on the cement table, her hair came up and you could see all the blood. So that's when my mom wrapped her hand around my hair and she braked me off because she said if she wouldn't have done that, I would have killed this bitch. And I remember when I was taken off, like this girl's face was like, I don't know if she was bleeding from her head or where, but she had blood here. I broke her nose. Her nose was broken because she had black eyes. And this bitch still had the fucking nerve to still talk shit. She was still talking shit. She was like, you want to go again? You want to go again? Bitch, you not see how fucked up you are? The only thing I did have was like a scratch here and like a bump. But that was it. Like, bitch, look at you. Like, why are you still trying to fight? And I was like, I tried to go again. Like, I tried to ram her again. Nino grabbed me. So she was still talking shit. And my mom was like, let's go. You already fucked her up. Look at how she looks. So We were leaving when the cops were already called. So when we got to the front gate, the cop was behind us and he was calling us. He said that they were gonna arrest me. And my mom was like, arrest her for what? And then he was like, for hitting a minor. Because the girl said I was 18. Bitch, I was only like 15 or 16 when it happened. Fight number 3. I was a sophomore in high school. I was talking shit to somebody about me. And so I confronted her about it and I was like, you're talking all this shit, so say it to my face. Like, what shit? And like, she got scared all of a sudden. So I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, this bitch is acting hard. She's trying to find me in front of everybody and I'm not punking down. And my mom was like, well, just tell her, give you an address and you'll meet her there later when I'm off of work and I'll take you. So I was like, I told that bitch that. I said, my mom said to give me an address and I'll meet your ass there. And she was like, okay, whatever. She was talking all this shit and she was telling this girl like, oh, give her my number and blah, blah, blah. So I remember I got on the bus and I was telling my homegirl, Shafali, Jocelyn, I was like, y'all gonna walk home with me just in case this bitch is gonna act brave and like pop up. And so then, and I told my homeboys like Juan, Caesar, Nico, like we all lived in like the same complex, so they were able to walk to like with me because I lived on this side and they lived on the other side, so they were able to walk with me and like go home after. These bitches, like this bitch grew the balls. I don't know how. She told my homegirl where does she live, and well, she wasn't even my homegirl. She was just like hung out with our clique. Her name was Sabrina. She just decided to hang out with our clique. She got to my house like a couple seconds after I just got dropped off. I had time to change to a tank top and shorts, but as soon as I did that, she was already outside. And I was like, bro, we just left school. So, you know, I wasn't gonna call my mom again because I already called her and my mom used to get mad like when we would call her at work. So my homegirls were like, she's outside, like she's calling you out. And I was like, okay, well, let her call me out. So she was talking shit. I could hear her talking shit. So I came outside and her fucking grandpa took her. I told my homegirls, like, I'm telling you guys now, if I start throwing her head against anything, like, take me off of her. Because, like, I'm not trying to go to jail for killing somebody. So, we started fighting and I was not even mad enough to where I blacked out. I was just like, I'm fighting this bitch because this bitch just like grew these balls to show up to my house. And we went I think 3 rounds, and the first round she was already like her hair got wrapped around my hand, and my mom always taught me to wrap their hair around my hand so that they don't run away or try to run away. So the first round I was like already like, this bitch is gonna get her shit rocked. So her and I fought. And I stopped because I was like, you know, she's already getting her ass beat. So, I mean, I'm going to stop and I'm going to go inside. But then, no, this bitch kept talking shit. And so I was like, you know, we could go again. So we went again. We were fighting, blah, blah, blah. I was beating the shit out of this bitch. And so I was like, I like threw her and I was like, I'm done. And she was like, her grandpa started talking even more shit. And I was like, all right, this bitch wants to keep going. We can fucking keep going. So I started like pounding her. Dude, I had her like a rag doll. Like she was like up to here to me. And I was like, you still have the balls to come up to me and like try and act all hard. So the third round, I was throwing her around. And then I got fed up because I could hear her fucking grandpa talking shit. And so I grabbed her head and I slammed it against the floor like hard as fuck, like 3 or 4 times. And then my homegirls grabbed me because that's when I was starting to black out because I could hear him talking shit and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking break this bitch's jaw. My homegirls got me up and I went inside. And you could still hear in the video, if I find it, I'm gonna fucking upload it to my YouTube so you guys can watch it. So me and this bitch like went at it 3 times and I fucked her up, and this motherfucker still talking shit, telling him to go get me inside. Bitch, I'm already inside my house, like go home. And you could see in the video, and that's why I want to find it, she's like walking all crooked into the fucking truck and then they take off. I get inside, dude, this hand, my right, is swollen as shit. Like it's fucking huge. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, this is what happened. And then my mom was like, call 911 so that they could come check your hand. And my mom says, like, so they got there and they're checking my hand. And then my mom said when she pulled up, she was scared. She thought I killed the girl because there was ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, like everything. So my mom like ran inside. My brother and sister say that she like parked their car fucking crooked and ran inside and left them in the car to like come out. My mom's like, what happened? So I explained to her, and my homegirls are explaining to her. And my mom's like, did anybody get it on video? And my homegirl's like, yeah, Juan did. And my mom was like, oh, call him and tell him if I could go get it, and like blah blah blah. And so my homegirl called him. He was like, I just don't want to get in trouble. My mom was like, no, you're not gonna get in trouble. Like, I only want it so I could see it, and then like if this bitch tries to press charges, like I'll have proof that she came to our. And he was like, okay. So we went to his house. My mom got the video, and then like this video went viral, like in our high school. Everybody saw it. Like my homegirl Jocelyn was down as fuck. She fucking sent it to everybody, and everybody was like, damn, like this bitch got her ass rocked, and like, and my hand was broken. My mom took me to the urgent care, and then they told me like she broke it and you got to go get a cast. So I didn't go to school the next day, and everybody was saying that this bitch was saying that she beat me up. That's why I didn't come to school. And everybody was like, well, my homegirls were like, why is she saying that shit if we have proof that she got her ass beat? And like I was like, let her talk shit. Like they were texting me, and I told my mom like, cause she was like, oh, just don't go to school, go tomorrow. And I was like, no, I want to go to school, because it was like I think the fifth period already. And I told my mom like I'm gonna go to school. So she dropped me off, and I went with my cast, and everybody's like, what the fuck happened? And I told them like I was so blacked out that when I threw, you could see it in the video, when I throw her head against the floor, I hit here and I got a boxer's fracture. And like the fucking doctor was like, what the fuck like he didn't say what the fuck, but he was like, what happened? And I told him, and he was like, well, you have a boxer's fracture, like you're gonna have to keep this on, and then we'll see how it is after a couple weeks and whatever. So but yeah, if you guys enjoyed this story time, make sure you give it a like, share, comment, subscribe, and making sure you guys show your girl mad love. If you're not following my Instagrams already, my family one and my makeup one, go ahead and follow them. I'm gonna put the information down below. And if you guys have any more story times that you want to hear, like, tell me. I'll tell you guys my whole life story. I want to be an open book with my supporters. Like, I want you guys to know everything, not everything, but everything, you know. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the next video.